Train the muscles, not the joints. So I'm going heavier weight today on the incline here. I'll do some higher rep sets after, but I'm just gonna get about 4 or 5 heavy sets out of the way because I haven't went really heavy on the incline for a while. You know, 5, 6 to 8 rep set. That's what I classify as heavy, right? So yeah, once in a while you gotta mix it up, right? You gotta hit the different muscle fibers.
So thanks a lot for tuning into Natural Gallant Bodybuilding. And like I said, I'm going to take you through a bit of a chest workout here. It's not my whole workout, but the chest portion. And as most of you know, most of the time I'm sticking to either a 2-day split or I'm on a whole body workout type of program. And then the odd time I do 3-day splits and 4-day splits and stuff. I will do the bro split from time to time. But I want to make this video just for one reason and one reason only. And that's to answer a question where a guy said to me, how can you recover? A 2-day split is impossible to recover from. You know, why do you train with 2-day splits? Is it better? Is it better to train with a 2-day split or train with higher frequency? Okay, because that's probably a better way of saying it, because I do vary it up. I don't always just do a 2-day split. Sometimes I do whole body splits, and sometimes I do the bro split from time to time, you know, so I do mix things up. So I really listen to my body and I make changes depending on what's going on. So the first thing people have to understand is that you can recover from anything within reason if you aren't afraid to adjust the other parameters. And what I mean by this is that a lot of guys will think a 2-day split is the same. It would be the same workout as a 3-day split, and that's not true. On a 3-day split, I might do 12 sets, 15 sets, 20 sets. I might be doing a lot more sets for a body part than on a 2-day split or a whole body workout. I've done whole body workouts with just 2 or 3 sets every day for each body part, and that worked great. But when I go to a 2-day split, I can do a little bit more volume, right? So you have to adjust the parameters depending on what your frequency is dictating. So one thing you have to understand is that there is something that I discovered that was false with training. Years ago, I read in all the books, just like everybody else did, and the muscle fitnesses and everything, and they said, generally speaking, a body part needed at least 48 hours to 72 hours to recover. But what they didn't say was that is also dependent on how much muscular damage is done, how much volume, and basically what type of work you're giving the muscle, right? Because honestly, when you do more endurance type work, you're not going to have to need to recover as long, because endurance fibers, they have a tendency to recover faster and they have a tendency to not break down as easily. Okay, so hence I do higher rep ranges when I train more frequently, but at the same time I do put some heavy sets in there from time to time, but I don't feel the need to train super heavy every single workout. I mean, I'm training heavy in this workout, I'm doing the 120s for sets on the incline there, but that's not the way I train every single workout, as much as the heavy weight is glorified on today's internet culture. Okay, because on the internet culture, everybody's always training maximum reps all the time and all this kind of stuff. Now, another thing I want to say is that when you're training, it's not about either or. I always get somebody saying, hey, Jason, I'm doing progressive overload training, I'm doing some strength training, and I'm not going to failure, and I'm going to put on some mass that way. Is that better than hypertrophy training and going to failure? And I would say there's not really a better, because both will make you bigger.
So playing around with a different exercise here. It's internally rotated or supinated presses, which you think would work a lot of the delt. But I found that if I use a really steep incline with the palm facing me with the dumbbell, it actually hits the clavicular head of the pec. So I'm messing around with this as an experiment just to see if I can get some results from this. So this is one of those experimental exercises, right? So we'll see what happens.
So like I've said hundreds of times, you have to increase strength, yes. And then you also have to hit failure with that strength, and you'll hit different types of muscle fibers. And by hitting all muscle fiber types and all different angles and all different rep ranges, you will grow the muscle overall. So it's not about better. It's not about one way's better than the other. It's about incorporating all of those different ways. And the total synergistic reaction is more muscle mass.
Now, if I lay down more, I hit more of the front delt, because then the front delt is stretched more as you lay down, right? As you lay down, then the delt is stretched more. So this helps take a little bit of the delt out of it. As much as it might seem counterintuitive because it is on a steep incline, but I do feel a lot of upper chest.
So as a general rule, if you want to incorporate both powerlifting and bodybuilding techniques together, okay, as a general rule, once you start to hit the 4 to 5 rep range, I wouldn't recommend hitting absolute failure in those sets. That's really one way to incorporate almost like a half powerlifting. and hypertrophy training at the same time. And by doing this, you'll get the benefit of the heavier weight without the higher risk of injury, or at least as much as.
Oh, that feels good. That's honestly the most I've ever felt upper chest in my life by doing an exercise. This is where creativity comes in, right? Sometimes you gotta get creative.
So getting back to frequency of training and how frequent should you train and why is there a benefit from frequent training as opposed to, say, training where you're training a body part once a week or not. What I found with frequent training is that it's the callus principle. Like I always say, it's like getting a callus on your palm. If you do too much stress to the body all at once and then nothing, it's almost like overkill. It's like chopping your arm off and then trying to recover from it. It's the same thing with shoveling. One day, if I just grab a shovel and just start digging a ditch, if I'm not used to that, my palm will get ripped apart because I don't have any calluses. But if I do a little bit of that ditch digging every single day, I develop the calluses necessary to recover and to protect my hands. So it's kind of the same thing with muscle. I found that when I do smaller amounts of volume, but more often, I seem to generally, overall, get a better benefit. Now, that might be because of my genetics. It might be because of the way, how much muscle fibers I have or the way I'm built or whatever. But you have to experiment with this. So it's not about one program being better than the other. It's more about finding out what is the most appropriate program for you at this time. Sometimes I've gotten a bigger benefit from a 3-day split than a 2-day split and vice versa. It just depends on what's going on in my body at the time and what the weak link is. A good way to find out whether you're doing too much volume or too little volume based on the frequency that you're training is that when you go into the gym, if you always feel flat and sore and just burned out, then just try backing off on the volume and keep the frequency the same. And through this experimentation, you'll find the perfect blend of volume and frequency and be able to incorporate that in your workouts. So I hope this helps you understand how I incorporate volume and frequency in my bodybuilding programs. And thanks a lot for watching, and make sure you share my stuff. That's right. Yeah, and take care for now.
Well, that just might be the secret to getting an upper chest, that exercise right there. So I can feel something with that, It's not like I'll throw pressing or flies or whatever. I'll keep doing that stuff, but this is hitting something totally different. I can feel it. My spider sense is tingling.